Okay, guys, I'm going to do a haul truck episode here. It's been a long time since we've done one, so it's probably going to be segmented. I'm going to probably have to find some old clips and insert them into this video so that you know kind of what's going on or how we got to the stage that I'm about to show you. But anyways, I'm going to shut you off and then bring you back to the truck and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here we are behind the haul truck. And what the issue was, and again, I'm going to try and find a segment from one of the old haul truck videos where I kind of talked about this, and I'm going to insert that in there probably after this clip if I find it. If not, I'll let you know and explain it then. But if you look at the truck, the frame rails are tipped down that way because I think the pitch of the floor might have been that way. The whole frame rail from front to back are pitched that way. Why that's happening, I'm not really sure. You'll see that I've got the frame rail suspended up off of the suspension by the gantry crane, but that has nothing to do with it. Before I picked it up with the gantry crane, after I had taken, there's two rods that I had used to hold the frame to the suspension. After I took those rods out, the frame rails tipped. But what the issue is right now is not these frame rails are tipped. There's another issue. If you look at the plane of the axle versus the plane of this suspension bar that holds the airbags, that will hold the airbags that go up to and support the frame on the suspension, air ride suspension or airbag suspension, you'll notice that the bar is tipped differently than the plane of the axle. In other words, it's tipped down this way. When I put that other clip in to this video, you will understand that I, at the time, and this was months and months ago when that clip was made, thought that this bar here and this bar here were bent at different angles, causing that. But when I started readdressing this thing a day or so ago, there's something that I noticed. I noticed that this leaf, let's call it a leaf, it's like a leaf spring, or I don't know what the proper name for it is, but it's resting on the rod in this front support bracket. If you go over to this one, you'll notice that it's not resting on that rod, but it's up against the top. And then if you look at it, the angle of this one versus the angle of that one is different. In other words, this one is tipped down, whereas that one is like on a flat plane and got that leaf up against the top of it. So I think part of the problem is the way these things are mounted on the axle. So I'm going to start pulling this apart and taking a look and seeing if this mounting bracket is for some reason holding one up or making the other one go down at a different angle. But let me bring you, again, I'm going to cut this clip off and see if I can insert an old video about that. And here is that old video clip. I'm going to try and edit it as much as possible just so that it reestablishes in your mind, in my mind, what was going on at the time. You gotten that airbag bracket onto it. Now, not all 8 bolts are into it, but there's 2 bolts on each side are into it, plus a bolt for the shock mount. What the issue is I've ran into another issue or another problem. Maybe it's not a problem. One of the things that I was kind of looking at is the plane of the bracket on this side is pitched down towards the pumpkin, whereas the plane of the bracket on the other side isn't pitched as much. Then if you get back here and kind of look at that bracket, it slopes up. Well, what I've determined was, if you look at the trailing arm on that the rear of that air suspension bracket, where the J or S, however you want to look at it, comes down, and then you look at this one, you'll notice that this one is bent out farther, so it's kicking the side up. So what I tried to do is, you see that I've got that jack sitting there on the floor. I put the jack in between that thing and the frame and tried jacking it down. Well, it took the whole trailing, the whole air support bracket down. So I blocked this side up and then tried to jack it down, and I straightened it out a little bit. It's actually straightened out more than was. It's straightened out now more than it was. But the problem is it's still kicked up, and I can't, in my limited time on working on it, I doesn't seem like I can get it down any farther than I've gotten it already. Now, what I want to do is kind of think about it. In worst case scenarios, I could always, if I can't get it straightened out, and I don't want to heat that thing to straighten it out. In the worst case scenario, if I can't get it straightened out, I can always compensate for it by mounting the shock from side to side differently to compensate for that elevation difference. And let's call it an elevation difference, because what it does, if I tried to put it at the same plane, it would twist the frame a little bit. So to compensate for it, if I can't get it straightened out, what I will do is make the brackets for the shocks and the airbags from side to side different to compensate for that bent trailing arm bar. And it is bent. It is bent. One of the things that I said in that clip that I had edited out, that I needed some time to think about it. Well, I sure got a lot of time to think about it. But anyways, so that was my thoughts back then at the time. And let me shut you off and we'll go back into this a little bit more. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get in this video, whether I will be able to get those brackets back off of the axle and figure out what is causing it to be slanted from side to side, riding on the axle. I'm fairly confident in trying to remember that those axle mounting brackets were the same. I had a bunch of them that I had picked up from the salvage yard, but I'm pretty sure that I got them the same, but I will look at that and readdress it. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've just shot a clip of me unloosening, yes, unloosening the U-bolts that hold that arm onto the axle. And what I did is after I unloosened them, I pushed down on the side that was up in the air, and it seemed to help it. It went down. Now it didn't go down far enough, so what I did is put the jack under this side and then push down, which kind of picked everything back up. But I pushed back down on that side again with the jack still under this side, and it has seemed to straighten it out a lot. So what I'm going to do is retighten the U-bolts on it. Actually, as you'll probably see in the video, some of them were loose. I apparently hadn't tightened them all the way. So I'm not sure if maybe it rolled a little bit onto it, but let me try and retighten them, see if anything changes when I do that, and I'll bring you back. I'll shoot a small video of me retightening them to see if anything does change in the on the tilt of that airbag plate when I do retighten it. Should be able to see it in the video if it does change. Okay, So I'm happy with the way that came out. I mean, it's off a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's not something that can be compensated for in the airbags. Um, I've got some other things to address. Like I said before, I've got to figure out why this frame is tilted like that. I think it has something to do with the front axle now. So let me take a look at that and see what's going on. When I had the truck rotated around before this hiatus and my not getting any videos out on the haul truck, when it was rotated around, it was up on jacks and it was straight. And it was straight, I think, when I rolled it in here. I'm not really sure what has happened, but again, let me take a look at it. Yeah, I don't think it's just because of that one tank being over on that one side, but let me take a look at it and see what's going on. And it's probably going to be this is going to be it for this video, but I will try and keep it get back in the swing of things. I'm really kind of bluntly pissed at myself because that I have put it off for so long, thinking about how I'm going to rectify this problem, and it turned out to be something actually stupidly simple. But again, you know, that's what happens. It's not like I'm in business and I've got to get this thing out the door to make money. You know, I'm just kind of doing this as a hobby and recreation, and yeah, it will be used, but again, it's just kind of more like a hobby project. So there is no rush about getting it done. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, elections are coming up in November. Jesus, let's get rid of some of these people that are woke idiots.